Brave, selfless and community driven, the members of Ennis Sub Aqua Club are getting ready to take a cold plunge for a vital cause this festive season. The club is gearing up for its annual Fin Swim, a gruelling 2-mile journey down the dark waters of the River Fergus to raise funds for their voluntary missing person search operations across the Midwest. And to tell us more about all of this and the specialised training required for these missions and how the community can support the club this Christmas, I'm joined by long-standing member of Ennis Sub Aqua Club, Tom Fitzpatrick, who's sitting across from me this morning. Tom, good morning to you.
Good morning, Alan, and let me just say good morning and maybe happy Christmas to all of your listeners. It's an opportunity maybe to say Merry Christmas to them in advance, because quite often we're coming past them on Thanksgiving's Day and they don't often get a chance to hear us shouting back to them. So I'll preempt it by saying a Merry Christmas to all of those people.
Oh, lovely, and I'll appreciate that. And as I say, you're a long-standing member of Ennis Sub Aqua Club. You're 25 years. You were counting them on the way in, so it's clearly a long duty of service. Yeah,
and I think one of the things that you see about a community like Ennis Sub Aqua Club is that we tend to have endurance in the club. So we are a long-standing community. We have a lot of members who are there longer than I am. And other members who come in and joined and moved on and then come back to us at a later stage. So one of the strong features of Ennis Sub Aqua Club is community. Not only as a community within a club, but our place within Ennis, the community, and the wider Clare community out there. So I think one of the strong features that we would say is, as a community, we tend to attract in people who want to help in the community, who get involved in the community. And at this time of year, like to give back to the community. And that's really what we're at. I think when we go down the river in Thanksgiving's Day, a lot of people get to see us in the water, maybe it's their first time seeing us in the water, and get to understand that there is a club in the town. And unfortunately, I think one of the reasons why we end up swimming the river on Thanksgiving's Day is to fundraise for activities that the club take. And we are often called out over the course of a year to search for people who go missing in our waterways. So whether that is in the River Fergus in town, it's in our lakes, it's in our rivers, sometimes we are going back along the coastline. And further afield, we go up around the country, sometimes to help other clubs and other search and rescue teams in that search for missing people to reunite them with their families.
Can I ask, Tom, what compelled you to get involved with Ennis Sub Aqua Club? Because, you know, it's a little bit different to saying I'll join an athletics club or I'll join a cycling club. It's a bit more, I suppose, it wouldn't be seen as the obvious thing to do, but clearly such an important thing to be involved in, given what you've just been telling us and what we'll delve into a little further in just a while.
Yeah, and I think a lot of people might think, you know, Sub Aqua, that's something that you do when you're out on holidays and in a warm environment, exactly. and don't actually realise the richness and depth that you can get within the Irish coastline, in particular on the west coast. And I had friends who were active in scuba diving at the time who were, you know, telling me all about the details of the kind of diving that you get on our coastline, and it really intrigued me at the time. And so having friends in the club and then hearing all about what actually goes on in the club and what you can see on our coastline and how easy it is to access it really put the curiosity into me. So I went along to what we call a try-a-dive session in the pool. And from there, I was hooked. You know, just to get the opportunity to be able to breathe underwater, to be able to swim with ease. And I went through the training program. So we offer a very comprehensive training program to anybody who joins the club to make sure they're very comfortable with being underwater, with wearing all of the equipment. And then we progress out into the sea with those people. And I went through that same journey of discovery, as we said at the outset, about 25 years ago, and I've been hooked ever since. So I think one of the key things that people don't realise is the richness of experience that we have on our Clare coastlines, from diving in Kilkee, which is a worldwide renowned diving location, up along our coastline, right through to Doolin, where the burn really meets the sea. You get some spectacular landscapes underwater. And we have the tropical warm waters that keep us warm in our winters, bringing fish life up that you wouldn't otherwise expect to see off our coastline.
That must be amazing. Is it? You know, you're walking around on the seabed, or at least, you know, diving down below and seeing a world that I guess so few of us get to see. And I'd imagine, is there a lot of peace and stillness, if not, and things moving around you? It's moving at a slower pace to above sea, but also you can kind of just, if the hustle and bustle of life just ebbs away, I would imagine, when you are down there, the noise of modern life.
And I think, Alan, that's probably one of the key attractions, is that you're really, to coin an obvious phrase, you're submerged in the moment. And everything that's around you, you're just living for the moment. You're experiencing everything around you. There are no mobile phones underwater. Nobody can reach you. You obviously are diving with company. But in that moment, you're seeing through your own eyes, without any interference, without any noise of everyday occurrences. If there's things that are going on that are bothering you in your life, they all melt away. You're very tranquil. I find personally that you're very tranquil underwater. You get a great sense of calmness. You get to just literally submerge yourself, watch nature float by you. You can kind of take part in it as much as you like. You can observe as much as you like. And again, once you're down there, any of the troubles that you have in life, they just melt away. And then when you come back up to the surface, again, you're on a boat, you're having to crack with everybody else, you're sharing experiences that you've seen down there. And the thing is that no dive is the same for two people. Everybody will take something different from it. Everybody will see something different. And every time that you go back to a dive site, you experience something different as well, because it's a dynamic world down there. So every time that you go out into a boat, you're never entirely sure what you're going to see when you go under the water. But you're pretty much guaranteed on our coastline that you're going to see something wonderful.
Can I ask you, Tom, what is the standout or most incredible or most impressive sight you've seen underwater? And what is the most unusual, be it creature or, underwater floor or anything like that?
Well, I might take that last question first and kind of go back a couple of years where we had a pod of basking sharks off our coastline, and we had the wonderful opportunity to go out and to swim with those wonderful animals. And, again, while we wouldn't be under the water because the bubbles would disturb them, we got in to go snorkeling with them, to swim around with them. We spent countless hours in the water with those wonderful animals. And just to be present with them, to see their grace, their size, and the effortless way they're able to move through the water, the fact that they were fearless of us, and I guess they were quite comfortable with us being around them. That's probably been one of the standout memories that I've had over a number of years. We're lucky on a lot of our dives as well that we have Dusty the dolphin accompany us, who's a wonderful, very curious creature, really likes to be social, likes to interact, will often come up and swim with you for the entirety of a dive, will pop away, will come back to you again, and visit all of the different divers on a dive. We get lots of wonderful experiences like that. Off our coastline in particular, I think, we see a wide variety of different fish life. And I guess where we probably dive the most as a club would be off of Doolin, which gives you a range right down from the Aran Islands, in around Doolin itself, up towards Fanor, and then down towards the Cliffs of Moher. So quite a lot of sites that you can reach from Doolin. And I think, on any given day, depending on which way the wind is blowing, you can pick a wonderful dive site. Kilkee is obviously probably a well-known dive site. There's so many different clubs from across Ireland that come to Kilkee. And again, depending on the day and the experience of the divers that you're bringing with you, there's so many wonderful, safe and challenging dive sites that you can go see depending on the mix of people and what everybody's interested in going to. Okay,
you clearly see a lot of amazing stuff under there, and I'm sure it'll be no different for the event, which, just to mention the name, is 2 miles in the dark, which I guess says it all. Tell us more about the annual fin swim and 2 miles in the dark, because I suppose you're touching on, I can imagine it could be quite murky down there.
Yeah, the river itself, as you mentioned, can be quite cold and dark at this time of year. So we'll end up in the river. We get in around Drid na Gower, which is up near Leith Road. At this time of the year, there's usually quite a flow in the river. So all of the rain that has fallen on the hills stirs up the river quite a bit. So the visibility in the river is largely non-existent. So we'll swim along. If we're in the river, there's not going to be very much that we can see. which means
and I presume even lighting wouldn't help with that at all.
No, not generally, not in that kind of environment. And I think one of the things that we see or encounter in the river sometimes is there are a number of obstacles in the river. So again, we wear the specialised equipment, we wear our diving wetsuits, we generally tend to know where the obstacles are. So I wouldn't encourage members of the public to just get in the river and go for a swim unless you know the safety of the area. Of other things that we sometimes encounter in the river, unfortunately, there can be an awful lot of waste that is disposed of in the river. At different times in the year, later in the year, we help out with the Ennis Tidy Towns. We clean the river on a number of occasions during the year. And we remove an awful lot of that waste to try and make the swim a little safer, easier for all of us to be able to do.
Very sad that people do that, though, isn't it?
It's very unfortunate. And last year we had an incident where, we spent a number of hours cleaning the river, and 2 days later there was rubbish thrown back in there again, and we had to go back in and clean it out. So for all of the people who are out there, who can be thinking about safe, easy disposal, when you're putting that in, there are people like ourselves who end up in the river, but of course it's also detrimental to the fish life and to the nature that kind of lives along the river as well. So I would encourage people to be a bit more thoughtful.
Yeah, please do take heed of that. So Fin Swim is on Stevens's Day, and I'd imagine swimming 2 miles in a cold, dark river, it doesn't sound easy. Aside from obstacles and the darkness, are they the 2 elements that make it such a tough swim?
Yeah, you also have the cold, I suppose. So not only the cold of the water, but this time of year it is quite chilly out there. So you have the endurance of being able to swim. There's definitely a fitness element involved in all of that. But you have then the changing areas that you need to. So we thank the Civil Defence Ennis who let us use their facilities to be able to prepare before and afterwards. But getting in and out of the water itself is quite cold. And so you do need to be prepared. You need to be wearing the right protective equipment. Again, you're wearing wetsuits. And be expecting the cold as well. So we've had occasions where we've gone into the river and the river itself has been frozen. It's that kind of level of temperatures that we'll be dealing with. So as you say, there is a lot of endurance involved in it. You have an awful lot of swimming to do. Towards the latter part of the swim, once we kind of get past the falls, you do have a lot more flow in the river. So I think we kind of end up at the latter part of the swim actually moving quite quickly through the town. So for folks who come out to watch us, we often have a fair crowd who are on the bridges, who are kind of taking pictures of us. They often see us moving quite quickly through, and we get out then at Steele's Terrace, so we get out of the river at that point in time. So for anybody who's interested in coming in to watch us, we generally do see crowds kind of lining the bridges from the Bishops all the way down to Steele's Terrace. It's very appreciated when we kind of see that level of support cheering us on. Okay. It's kind of a very nice, warm welcome finish to a cold and hard swim.
So it's on Stevens Day. What time does it get underway?
So we generally meet around 2 o'clock in the Civil Defence, who will bring us up to the river for, roughly speaking, about 2:30, 2:40 or so we'll get into the river. From the Bishops on, which is probably where most people will be able to meet us, we'll be there usually around 3 o'clock. And thereafter, we'll be heading down, we'll be getting out around Steele's Terrace, typically around the 3:30 to 3:45 mark. On a normal swim, the swim will take us about 45 to 50 minutes.
Okay. And if people do want to help out, if they want to sponsor a swimmer, how can they do that? Because, of course, there's vouchers up for grabs too.
Yeah, and again, I suppose one of the key things that we're looking at here, Alan, is this is a fundraiser as well to enable our divers to be able to train up safely for the search and rescue activities that we do. So one of the things that we are looking for support from the public is if you can help with the finances for the club. If you go to our Facebook page, Ennis Sub Aqua Club, there is a link on there to an I Donate form, so you can donate online if you like. If you reach out to any of our club members, we all have sponsorship cards and an opportunity to kind of give us money there, gets you entered into a draw as well. So any help that the public can give us, it will be greatly appreciated. It allows us to train our divers up safely in search and recovery, and making sure that when we're called on, we have the experienced divers who are able to help.
Okay, well, hopefully you do raise a lot of money on the day, and hopefully get a good crowd out as well to watch you work off that turkey and ham with the swim or trudge or whatever word you want to use through 2 miles in the dark in the River Fergus. Tom Fitzpatrick from the Ennis Sub Aqua Club. Tom, thank you very much, and all the best over Christmas and on Stephen's Day itself.